Welcome to our first user training session for our new collections management system, Maven. This is a software that is created by the company Terentia. My name is Tina Kremsner-Shing. I am the database and digital asset manager here at the Magnus. I graduated from UC Berkeley with a BA in art history and then went on to receive my master's in library and information science before I started working at the Magnus at the end of 2023. Soon after I started working at the Magnus, I began researching and collecting information about how we could migrate from our previous collection management system to this new one. And that took about 2 years. So we are very excited to finally launch this to the public. The name of our new collection management system is called Maven, whose etymological roots come from the Hebrew word for teacher or one with knowledge. I'm going to start off by giving everyone a tour of the homepage so that you know how to navigate around the site. Then I'll introduce what themes are, and then within themes, I will show you the record summary view. And then we will do a deep dive on how to search the database using simple search and advanced search. And then finally, I will show you a record detail view so you can see all of the information that we have available online about each object. So we're going to start with homepage navigation. This is the homepage of Maven. Before we begin, I would like to point out that although the Magnus stewards a collection of approximately 60,000 objects and artworks, not all 60,000 are available online right now. The collections team is actively working to make all of our holdings accessible to the public, and we will add new records as they become available. You will be able to see a live count of how many records have been published to date under the search bar here. For example, as of today, 4,725 records are available online, and we prioritize publishing records that have object images. So this is the search bar in the center of the screen where you can type in a keyword and start a search, or you can click on this magnifying glass where you will be brought to advanced search and you have the filter options. We'll go into more depth on advanced search later in this training. And then below the search bar, you'll see a selection of what we call themes under this highlights section. These are groupings of records that function much like an album, featuring a selection of records surrounding a particular subject matter, highlighting an artist, publication, exhibition, or holiday. We have many more themes to come, and we're very excited about this new feature on the website. In the top right-hand corner, you'll see this hamburger menu icon, which will bring out a global navigation panel that can take you back to the homepage at any point while you are in Maven. Go directly into advanced search or to the Magnus's webpage with all of our exhibition information. So I'm going to click back into the Maven homepage. No matter where you are in browsing or searching in Maven, you can always return to the homepage by clicking on our logo in the top left-hand corner, or you can also jump to the Magnus's website by scrolling down to the footer and clicking on our link in the bottom right-hand corner. So this takes you back to the Magnus homepage. Are there any questions so far on navigating our homepage? Okay, if not, we will continue with our agenda. We are now going to spend some time on themes, which will also allow me to show you what the summary view of an object looks like. As I mentioned earlier, themes are different groupings of objects that share some sort of similar thread. For example, here we have highlighted all the works by a single artist, Arthur Szyk, highlights from our collection that were published in the Jewish World, 100 Treasures of Art and Culture, and then all the objects that were part of our most recent exhibition, Water Flowing Through Time and Tradition. Themes are a way for our curator to invite visitors who may not know where to begin their search to explore the collection from different entry points. Our senior curator, Alyssa, is on the call today, so I wanted to have Alyssa have a chance to say anything at this point about an upcoming theme or themes that she's looking forward to creating. Alyssa, if you would like to unmute yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much, Tina.
Yeah.
I think the way that we can use themes is really exciting. Something that we've been talking about internally is creating a theme that reflects objects that Berkeley classes have asked to see when they come and visit our study room. Tina also mentioned ones related to holidays as being really exciting. So if you don't really know where to start in your searching, but you see a theme for Passover and you look at all of the objects in Passover and find some that you didn't know really related to Passover. And then by clicking through those, you can kind of serendipitously find other objects. So that's what we're thinking of for themes and just ways to highlight what is so special about the Magnus's collection. So objects from different places in the world, as well as things like what objects are being being researched currently and taught with at the university and beyond.
Thank you, Alyssa. Yes, this is a very fun feature of this new website. So look out for new themes every month or so. We're hoping to rotate them regularly, so there's always a fresh way to look at the collection. So if you click on a theme, we're going to use the Jewish world as an example. You'll be brought to a page with a description about how these objects are related and an overview of all the objects in this theme. Each of the objects are represented by a card in this grid format, and there are a few lines of descriptive text underneath each image in a card. So for example, this one, for the bolt catcher, you'll see the type of object it is, the name or the title of the object, the artist or creator, and then the year in which it was made. When you click on an object card, you'll be brought into what we called summary view. This is a light box with an image and then two tabs, the first of which is a summary. So this is more of a contextual description of what this object is. And then in the details tab, you'll see standard museum catalog information such as artist, date created, creation place, classification, medium, and so on. A fun fact is that when you see an accession number, the first digit is the year in which the object was accessioned into the museum. And then the second digit is the sequential order in which it was accessioned. So for this one, 77.77, this was the 77th object that was accessioned in 1977. When you look at the credit line, it'll also give you a hint into the relationship between this object, the artist, and the museum. And in this case, Aaron Goodelman, the artist of the object, is also the person who gifted it to the museum. So reading through this catalog information can also give you just as much insight into a work of art as the summary, where you get a longer description about the artist or the culture in which it was produced and any other historical details that we know of. And then in this left-hand panel, you get the image. And so you can see different angles if they are available of the image. You can also go into full screen and zoom in. It's kind of blocked by my Zoom settings. Okay. But you should be able to zoom in if it wasn't blocked by my Zoom editor. And then you can also share by clicking on the three dotted node button, and this will copy a direct URL to this record into your clipboard, and then you have to make sure you paste that link into your email or your messages or a notes application so that you can save the link or share the link to this object. You can exit out into back into summary view, and you have those same controls for to zoom in, zoom out, and sharing the link from this view as well. And then if you want to scroll through all the objects within the same theme without having to navigate out of the theme, you can click on next. And this way you can read about each object in sequence without having to go to a different page. You can go backwards, and it tells you which artifact you are on out of all the total records in this theme. And then lastly, you can jump into the detail record view from the summary view by clicking on View Artifact. And then this brings you to the full extent of information we have published about a single record. And we'll get more into record detail view after we go over searching, but I did want to show people how to navigate to detailed record view from summary view. Okay. Are there any questions about themes so far or the summary view? If not, we can always go back to questions at the end of our session today. But I will move on to searching. So in search, we have two ways of searching, simple search and advanced search. So I will start with simple. And as I mentioned from the beginning when we were going over navigation, say you're in themes and you want to start running a search. You can go back to the home page by clicking on our icon here. And then you could have also come back to the home page by opening up the hamburger menu and clicking on home and navigating back to the home page. You can also just go straight into advanced search from the side panel. But for the sake of starting fresh, we're going to do this from the home page with simple search. You run a simple search through this search bar on the home page. And right now, simple search only searches two fields, the label, which is the title, and the accession number. So if I start to type in wedding, I will yield all the objects with the word wedding in the title of the object here. And then if I know what I'm looking for and I know the exact accession number, I type in an accession number, the database will also be able to match accession numbers to whatever numbers start with the same string. But we are hoping that this can expand to other fields from simple search. You can search other fields from advanced search, but not from simple at the moment. And that is something that we are hoping Terentia will be able to offer as a feature. We have submitted a feature request, and the reason why we chose Terentia is because they are very responsive and collaborative with us in improving collections online and making more features available as we discover the need for them. So back to simple search, say we wanted to search for everything related to wedding. I wanted to bring everyone's attention to the fact that you can use this autocomplete drop-down menu here where it matches your search term to that keyword where it exists in existing objects by clicking on these examples. This is predictive text. You can also click on view all so that you see all of the objects with the word wedding in the title. But say you're to go back to this and you're to type in your keyword and then you do not use this predictive text drop-down menu and you click on return on your keyboard directly, as I'm doing now, you'll be brought to a page where it looks like objects are not related to your keyword. That is because the default setting for relevance is showing the least relevant objects first and the most relevant at the bottom. This is a default and it is a faulty setting in the system that we have asked Terentia to fix. But for the time being, I wanted to bring everyone's attention to it so you know to reverse the relevance sorting direction from ascending relevance to descending irrelevance. And so all you have to do is click on this arrow and you will flip that relevance direction so that the most relevant appears at the top, least relevant appearing at the bottom. Are there any questions about that using simple search and then the autocomplete versus clicking return on your keyboard? Okay, no worries. If not, I know this will take some practice. So, and I'll get to this later, but if you have questions as you start using Maven, please feel free to reach out to me, or you can submit feedback from the submit feedback button later in this training. I'll show you how to get there. But we want to make sure that the system is usable for everyone. So we are welcome to feedback and questions when you get there. So now we're going to go on to advanced search. There are two ways to get to advanced search. The first one is to click on the magnifying glass and then open up the filters. You can also get to advanced search by going to the hamburger menu and then clicking on advanced search here, and then opening up the filters this way as well. I like advanced search because it allows you to use filters to control specific fields and layer your search terms. And seeing the list of different characteristics help you get a sense of the extent of your options. And through these options, you often discover the breadth or variety of objects in a collection. For example, if you were to click on the artist filter, you would be able to see the different artists that are represented in our collection. You can search that way. Or going to script and language also shows you the breadth of cultures that are represented in our collection as well. So I'm going to go over each of these filters one by one now. The first box is empty. This is where your search terms will appear once you start adding them to your filters. And so right now it's blank, which is how it's supposed to be. But when you add filters, you'll be able to see which ones you added. And then this enter keyword box functions very similarly to the home page search bar where you type in a keyword and then run a search. And again, say we're doing dress and I click enter on my keyboard. The same issue with relevance showing up in ascending order as opposed to descending order is going to appear. So please remember to reverse that so you get the most relevant at the top. I know it's a little misleading and we're hoping that that will be fixed very soon. And then you can choose to display results in grid view, which is what we're seeing right now. You can also switch to list view, which will give you more information about the metadata, these different cataloging fields. While the image is a thumbnail, so it's smaller, this is more helpful if you are researching a specific type of object or region or time period, whereas grid view is better if you're just interested in looking at what images of objects we have and giving you a better sense of just what is available. Yes, so you can toggle between list and grid, but they are better for different purposes. So again, this is the keyword that I used. And if I wanted to start a new search, I could just exit out of that and we can start fresh again. Sort by allows you to control the field by which you would like your results to be ordered. For example, say I wanted to look at the oldest print in our collection. I would go into classification and I would choose prints. And then I would sort by date created. And this way I can see the oldest print in our collection, which we are estimating to be from the 16th century. And then it goes in ascending order to more recent prints. This can also be helpful if you're doing research on the collection and, for example, you wanted to do accession number. You can go into list view with accession number and then see the order in which prints were coming into the collection within a certain year. We're going to exit out of that. Clear. The next is show only. This one will give you results with images. So this is in case you don't want to look at objects that do not have an image available and you just want to be able to browse visually. You can click on the has media. And the caveat with this is that has media now reflects records with an image on the back end, but whether or not that image is published to the front end is not taken into consideration, which is also something that I have requested be calculated. So right now we do have images of this Ketuba. We also have an image of heaven, but they are not high enough quality for us to publish online. And we would probably only open that up if it was an urgent research request. But the ones that are published means that we do feel like it is high enough quality or clear enough for people to get a good idea of what that object is. And so we can now look at these other filters. What I like about filters is that you can layer them. So say I want to only find photographs where the creation place is New York. I would go into classification and I would just choose all the photographs. I'm going to get rid of has media. And then I would choose creation place being New York. So now it's pulling up everything that is a photograph and was made in New York. And incidentally, these are all the Nancy Lee Katz images, which is an upcoming exhibition that we're very excited to do. Um, and yeah, there are other ways that you can layer your search. You can play around with all these filters. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. Are there any questions right now, though? Okay, I'm going to clear my filters. The last section is about the record detail view. And so this is the full extent of information that we have published. And this is what you'll see when you complete a search and you're like, okay, I found what I'm looking for. Now I want to dive in deeper and learn more about that object. So I'm going to use the Lavater and Lessing painting, one that is quite familiar to most people, as our example. In the top, you'll have the title of the work, and then you'll see the accession number. The accession number is very helpful if you have a research request or feedback or a general question to include the accession number in your communications with us so we know exactly which object you're talking about. Again, you'll be able to scroll to different angles or views of the image. You can also zoom in and zoom out. You can also use the share button here as well. And again, make sure that you paste the link once you have clicked on the share button so that you can share a direct link to this record. And then we have the different sections of the full catalog record. The description is at the top. So there's a lot of research done on this well-known painting. So the description is quite long, but sometimes depending on how much research is available, the length of this description will vary. I chose this as our example because I want to show that there could be alternate titles that appear. These alternate titles often are the title in a different language. My favorite thing about the record detail view is that you can search other objects that share characteristics with this object. And so it's not very clear right now. The text, it appears in dark blue if you can click on that field and you go to all the other paintings. In the similar vein, if you want to look at all the other objects that are from Germany, you can click on this. And again, if it's not clear to you whether or not it's clickable, you can see whether or not your mouse changes from the arrow to the hand when you hover over the text. So here we'll see Germany when the mouse does change when it hovers, but then for date, it doesn't change to the hand. And so you'll know that that is not a clickable value right now. And if you want to make sure that you're opening up all the other related records to this characteristic, you can do a control click, open link in new tab, and that'll bring up those results in a new tab so you don't lose your place from the record detail view you were originally on. And now here we can see everything else that was made in Germany in our collection. Another field that might not appear for all of the records, but does appear when you're in record detail view is this collection field. So we have groupings of objects that came in from the same acquisition or donor, and we group those into collections. So, for example, this circumcision headband from Tunisia on the island of Jerba is from the Karen T. Friedman collection on Jewish life in Jerba, Tunisia. And so if you wanted to see other objects in that specific collection, you can do the same thing and click on the collection and you'll be brought to everything else available. So right now there's only 4, but there are definitely more objects. We just haven't prepared them to be published online yet. And then the last 2 things I want to point out is the research availability field. Right now, everything says not available unless it's part of the Bancroft, in which case we direct people to view those objects at the Bancroft. We want to make sure that everything is properly processed before we make things available for research, but this is a priority as a teaching institution. And so we want to make as many objects as possible available for research. So watch this become more available as time goes on. And then the last feature that is specific to Record Detail View is the Give Feedback button and the Send a Research Request button. When you click on these, it'll open up your email so that you can directly email me at magnesdigital@berkeley.edu with feedback or questions, or if you have a research request, it will go to magnesresearch@berkeley.edu. Okay. That is it for this first user training. This will be available online as a recording, but you can also come in person this Wednesday from 5:30 to 6:30, or next Thursday, May 28th from 3 to 4 o'clock. And these will be live in-person trainings at the Magnus.